to Stand Firm here with Eden. Today I have Cody with me, and he's going to be my guest interview. This is my first interview episode. I'm so excited for you guys all to listen to this one. I wanted to kind of give you guys a quick rundown of how today's going to go. So, Cody is actually the husband of one of my classmates. Again, I'm in medical school, so her name's Alia. She goes to med school with me, and I didn't even say your last name because I don't know how to pronounce it. How do you pronounce it?
Kewley, you said it right before.
Kewley?
Kewley, yeah.
What is that?
It's like a surname from Cooley, so you probably met a Cooley before.
Yeah.
And it's just, I don't know, it's a surname from somewhere Vikings back then.
Okay, so it's like European.
Yeah.
Or something. Okay, cool. Yeah.
From Isle of Man, I would say. It's literally a small island.
Interesting.
Yeah, one year I
did not know
just
that.
studied that.
Are you just gonna be like a Viking for Halloween then?
No. No. I
That would
gave
be a
up on
sight
that.
though.
That would be cool.
You would have an excuse to grow like a full beard.
All my families are like 6'4", 6'6".
Are you for real?
Yeah, I'm like 5'11".
I did not know that.
Yeah, my brother, he was like shorter than me, and then one year he grew taller than me.
That's insane. Wait, how many siblings do you have?
I have 2 sisters and then 1 brother.
Are your sisters tall?
I would say they're taller than like the average woman. Yeah.
Interesting.
I don't know how tall they are, but
yeah,
they're taller than Alia. So
cool. Hey, at least like you're better groomed than a Viking. I watched that show on like whatever network it was, and they said they only shower like once a week, and I was like, you know what? Never mind, not for me.
Yeah, I hear you.
So, anyway, we're gonna have Cody here, and we're just gonna talk about a couple of things. So, I would love for you to just kind of introduce yourself, and obviously you're in real estate, but I honestly don't even know how you got into real estate. Like, obviously you're younger, so I kind of want to know, like, did you always know that you wanted to do like real estate, which obviously is very entrepreneur style of a career? And did your parents support that? Did you go to college? What was that kind of looking like for you?
Yeah, so when I first began, I actually started lifeguarding. So that was the first thing. Like I was in high school, started lifeguarding. And, I think it's with every entrepreneur, not with everybody, but they have this drive in them to want to just always do something.
Yeah.
And my friends, they just wanted to go to parties. They wanted to go do this stuff. And I'd hang out with them. And when I'd hang out with them, I didn't want to be in that situation, but I also didn't want to be doing schoolwork.
Yeah.
But I knew I had this like drive in me. I just wanted to be a millionaire. I was like, I just want to make money, be a millionaire, have my foundations, be, God-fearing, have kids, have a beautiful wife, beautiful house, beautiful cars. And it was just started in high school when I was lifeguarding, and then my cousin got me into real estate.
Oh,
yeah.
interesting.
So gave me a call out of the blue one day, and he said, "Hey man, I started real estate." And I was like, "That's cool. That's awesome, man. Good for you."
Yeah.
And then he said, "It's this term called wholesaling. You don't need to get your real estate license."
Okay.
It's where you literally will market to people who have a home. It's typically a distressed house, like the show Fixer Upper.
Yeah.
So you're kind of sourcing these deals, and then you sell them to the people, like people who fix up the properties.
So what's like better? Like, why is that better than somebody saying, "Okay, I'm gonna buy a house, I'm gonna like flip it and then sell it"? How does that differ?
Right. So what we're doing is we're signing the rights to a contract. So we get it under contract. I'll purchase it for $100,000, and then I sell it to you, a fix and flipper, for $120,000.
Oh, so you're like kind of on the back end.
We're just wholesaling. So at Costco, they'll get from the farmers in bulk.
Yeah.
And then they sell to the consumer. We're Costco.
You're the Costco of real estate.
Yeah.
Dope. What a slogan.
Yeah.
Costco of real estate. I like it.
It's an easy way to put it.
So how old were you when he kind of came to you with this idea?
So he planted the seed in my head when I was a junior in high school, and I actually got held back in first grade. So I was older. I was 18, I think.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, I was 18, and it was my junior year or something.
Okay.
I think I graduated when I was 18 or 19. But anyways, he planted that seed in my head. He was actively doing real estate. And then for a second, it just kind of like, you get hyped up, you go to these meetups, and then you're kind of like, well, if there's no action, dream kind of dies.
Yeah.
So a good book to actually read that goes through all this, exactly what I went through, was called The Alchemist.
Uh-huh.
And this is a good book because it's easy to read.
Yeah.
But they should also make a movie about it for kids because
Yeah.
you know some kids their dreams kind of like they'll get a job and then their dreams die.
Yes.
And this is kind of goes through the whole process of that
Okay.
and how to get back on that horse.
Okay,
So
cool.
got into college, got into the University of Oregon.
Okay.
I thought I wanted to become a doctor.
What?
Yeah,
I did not know that.
nobody
You're
knows
like,
that.
my wife just decided to do that instead.
Yeah,
Cool. Okay, I did not know that.
I was good at chemistry because it was the hardest thing that you can learn. I
Yes.
was good at biochemistry, and
Wow.
so I said, "Well, I just want to become a doctor because why? Because they make money, and
Yeah.
not everything is money, not everything, but the life that I wanted, I needed to make money for
And you
it."
know what? I love that you say that though, because, and I'm going to be so transparent. Like, I'm not saying that money buys happiness, but I am a firm believer that money allows you to live a life that you love,
Mm-hmm.
and that does make you happy. And
Dude.
so I think it bothers me when I see people who are like, I mean, even in mid school, and they're like, I'm not doing this at all for the money.
Yep.
And I'm like, I don't get that. I mean, to me, I'm like, are you really being honest with yourself? And maybe like you are that altruistic, but I just don't believe humans by nature we are like,
No.
I'm raking up so much debt. And I'm also an entrepreneur by nature. Like for me, this is like a means to be able to grow like my own personal business when I'm out of school. And I don't think there's any shame in saying that you want to make money doing
Right.
something. I really don't.
Right.
But for some reason, as a society, we've like deemed that to be wrong. I don't
Mm-hmm.
exactly know why.
I think it's when I grew up, I remember it was just more money, more problems. That's what a lot of people would like they would say, or more headaches.
Interesting. Yeah.
And also they weren't. I think we have more of an entrepreneur generation in our
Okay.
generation than
Yeah.
any other time. Um, but I really don't know.
I know.
I think it might just come back to like the old saying is like, or the old morals of like having more money is greed
Yeah.
somehow.
Yeah.
But I mean, there's easier ways for you to make money. Like
Yes.
you don't have to go through med school. It's a
Yes.
byproduct.
Yeah, like you could go like saturate yourself in a market that has everything that you need. Like
Mm-hmm.
I don't think that it makes the most sense to go get a degree in business. That's not going to really do you any good if you could just go like into the field that you want
Yeah.
to be a part of, and then get experience, find mentors, things like that. Like that to me is so much more beneficial. And that opinion of mine has changed over time.
Yeah.
Like I used to be like, college is the only way, like, and you're just an uneducated person. I mean, I'll be the first to admit that,
Yeah.
but it's interesting how like my perspective has changed over time on that.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, there is definitely way easier ways to make money. I think it's a combination of wanting to do something that I am passionate about, and also making money. Like, what did your parents tell you when you were a kid? Were they the parents that were like, do what you love? I mean, that's what my teachers told me growing up.
Mm-hmm.
Is that what they kind of told you, was do what you love?
Yeah, so my parents growing up, I don't have that rags to riches story. We were middle class. My
Hmm.
parents were very hard workers. I had both my parents. I had an amazing family. And yeah, my parents were very supportive of
Hmm.
everything I did. I always had to play a sport though. So it was like you had to play a sport, soccer, baseball, football,
I love
or
that.
something, or swim.
Yeah.
So I did swim in high school. I played soccer when I was younger. But you always had to be doing something. Like I
Hmm.
remember I'd get grounded for playing like too much video games.
Yeah.
But is that a good thing or a bad thing? I think that's a great thing. Like,
Yeah, I do too.
because you start to feed bad habits. And
Hmm.
so I think my parents just wanted me to be active.
Yeah.
And if you have ever noticed before, the more that you got going on in life, the more that you actually like, if you're booked with school, work, like working out,
Hmm.
you're way more productive
Oh
because you're
yeah.
already in motion.
Yeah. You just keep going.
Mm-hmm.
It's way easier to keep going once you've gotten started than to honestly just like stop.
Yeah.
100%.
Yeah. Because you'll fill your whole day with nonsense
Yeah.
if you have the time.
Yeah.
So that my parents are very supportive. They didn't they didn't come from a background of business. They didn't come from a background of entrepreneurship or anything.
Okay.
It was, hey, hard work, get a good job. My parents are like the stoics of like stoic. They don't cry.
Oh
They
wow.
like they aren't very emotional.
Uh-huh.
Very disciplined. Like you have to make the house clean. You got to make your bed, like almost military style.
Yeah.
But I turned out to be like a clean freak,
Yeah.
and it's all good attributes. There's nothing bad about it.
Yeah.
I'm more disciplined. Um, but they also taught me, just hard work, what a lot of people like kind
Yep.
of don't have.
Yeah.
Um, Even if it doesn't really matter, just helping people out.
Mhm.
Like, I don't know, that's what they taught me.
Yeah.
So, other than that, they were very supportive of everything that I've ever done. I've
Okay.
had family that's been very supportive of everything I've ever done.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, that's my background for
Okay.
growing up.
So when you decided to not be a doctor, they were like okay with it?
They knew I didn't want to become a doctor.
Oh, interesting.
So,
Okay.
you can only lie to yourself for so long until you just become absolutely unhappy with what you're doing. So I
Yes.
remember very vividly, we were driving through a Starbucks like
Mhm.
drive through, and I was telling Ali, I was like, "Hey B," I call Ali a B, just
Mhm.
short for babe. But I was like, "Hey B, I really just don't think that I like this path that
Uh-huh.
I'm going down because I'm going to community college now. I'm studying all this stuff, and I don't feel like we can have kids and you can be a doctor, I could be a doctor.
Yeah.
And I don't really feel like if I die tomorrow or next year
Mhm.
and I had 8 more years of school, did I
Yeah.
really live in my head?
Yeah.
No, not at all.
No.
And so I really like that freedom. I
Mhm.
like the freedom of owning your own business. I always liked that idea.
Yeah. Yeah,
And
totally.
so like in my head, I'd rather make $20,000, $50,000 working for myself than
Mhm.
working for anybody else.
Yeah.
I'd rather be dirt broke than have to be like knowing that I have to do something every single day that I didn't like.
Yeah.
Now, take it with a grain of salt. Like I did take up a couple jobs just to support myself and um, my girlfriend at the time
Yeah.
when we were in college,
Yeah.
and that's what you have to do.
Yes.
And that should never ever be like a hit at your ego, which in my head it was,
Yeah.
because it was, man, I see all these successful people.
That's what's hard is people like do not understand. It's like that picture of that guy that's like rolling the ball up the hill or whatever and he's like right there at the top, but then like all people see is the big ball, but they don't
Yeah,
see how it started so small and how you had to roll it uphill. I think two things. One, people don't see the failure that you go through. They don't see the struggle. They just see your success. But then two, it's like people don't have that delayed gratification.
yeah.
They just want to be instantly successful. So for you, what were like some struggles you faced kind of going into real estate? Obviously switching up your whole life. I'm assuming you just dropped out.
No, actually, I'm very hard headed. So
Oh, interesting.
I was like, so the very first quarter I got into the University of Oregon, my
Mhm.
dream school, or sorry, backtrack. My dream school is University of Oregon or
Uh-huh.
Washington, sorry.
Okay.
And then I got into University of Oregon. Well, I already paid, they make you pay an initial deposit down. So I got into the U of O and then I got accepted into both schools. And
Oh,
I really wanted to go to Washington.
yeah.
So stuck in Oregon, stuck in an apartment that I really did not like because
Mhm.
everything in Eugene was just outdated.
Yeah.
Like all the apartments are completely outdated,
Yeah.
except for maybe one close to the university.
Okay.
But at the time, I could not afford that.
Yeah.
So go through that school, do one quarter, it was $15,000, one quarter.
Whoa.
And I was like, I felt sick to my stomach
Yeah.
because I was like, this isn't med school. This isn't a specialty. My community college literally taught me more. I had one teacher that showed up at the beginning of the class and at the end,
Yeah.
and he had substitutes teach the whole time.
Are you for real?
I had one teacher, all they would talk about is politics and stuff in class. And I was like, I can't do this. I don't care what your politics are. I don't want to do this. And so called my parents. I said, I'm done with this. I quit the school
Mhm.
and I just hopped on Grand Canyon University, something that aligned a little bit more with me. And it's a Christian school, but it's based in Arizona and it's in Phoenix, but it's all online.
How did I not know that you went to GCU?
I don't know.
I went to GCU.
Did you really?
Yes. That's where I went for undergrad.
That's
Oh
crazy.
my gosh. The more you know.
Yeah.
That is so wild. That's hilarious. Yeah, I loved it. Same
I
here.
loved it. Yeah. The
Private
teachers were
Christian
great.
school, it was awesome.
Yeah.
It was so cool.
The teachers were honestly like actively I had more teachers at GCU running $1 million companies,
Yep.
and at University of Oregon I had teachers teaching hypotheticals.
Well, it's funny because they say that like this is so bad. But I'm really glad that you point that out, that you had professors who were like kind of they had action to show what they were teaching. Because there's like a joke I feel like in the academic community of professors or business professors that like didn't make it in like the real world with their
Yeah.
business. The ones that failed are the ones that now teach.
Yep.
And I'm like, that is really ironic, but I feel like it's definitely true to an extent. So I love that we had people who were actually like in what they were teaching in real life and being successful doing it because they
100%.
had evidence to show what they were doing works.
Yeah. Another thing too, I'll even add to that is I've seen a lot of so this is something like you do have to look out for, just like the teachers who pretend to own a business
Yeah.
and who gave up on it. I've seen this so recently with gurus, real estate gurus. They're like want to sell you their courses, and I'm like
Yeah.
I'm stalking them because I'll do a bunch of research and
Yeah.
like research who I'm meeting with before I do business or anything,
Yeah.
and you can't find anything.
Yeah.
And it's because at one point they failed and coaching made sense. And I know at least 5 people off the top of my head that failed in real estate and they just did coaching and they did really good at marketing and coaching.
Whoa.
So good for them that they did that, but it's like do not give advice. Like be very cautious. It's
Interesting.
almost like they're more of a mental coach than a real estate coach,
Interesting.
but it's like oof. In my eyes that's dangerous.
Yeah, like you have to be careful because I'm sure that's true across all professions.
Yeah.
That's so wild.
Yeah.
So you went to GCU, loved your time there. Did you get a degree? Like, were you
Yeah.
still doing real estate at this time?
Both.
Like, oh wow,
So
okay.
funny part is I was getting my business degree and I got my business degree or degree in business. And then I was also doing real estate at the same time.
Oh wow.
So I skipped over this, but I am currently a real estate agent with
Yeah.
Fathom out here. I love it. It's awesome. Real estate investor. And then recently I just started up a different business, which was SEO marketing for a
Mm-hmm.
website, not design, but SEO to rank #1 on Google.
Oh yeah, Alia was telling me about that actually.
Yeah.
Cool.
So in that meantime, I was starting with my first one being a real estate investor
Mm-hmm.
at that time in school.
Okay.
And so it's funny because I started up my own company. We're doing wholesaling, we're doing deals, we're doing fix and flips and all
Yeah.
this stuff and reselling it on the market. And by the time it came to like learning about LLCs and corporation structures and tax structures in school, it was just like easy A. I already
Yeah.
had gone through it.
Your experience. Do you feel
Yeah.
like your experience was better suiting you for real life interactions than school was?
100% because you actually see in real life why you have a C corporation or S corporation
Yes.
and like why this stuff happens and why you need an LLC.
Yeah.
Because it's like if you don't have this, then you're open to liability. But
Yeah.
then you learn again like the definition in school. Like
Yeah.
you learn the hypotheticals in school.
Yeah. That's so cool. I love how I was like, "Yo, business degree isn't that needed." As you say, you were getting a business degree. I look like an idiot now. Sorry, I didn't mean to
It
try and
can
hurt your feelings.
it no, it really wasn't needed though. Like
Yeah, yeah,
I learned more in real estate and starting up a business and like failing multiple times
yeah,
than just school. And it's not that school is bad. It's just the fact that I just didn't need it. I still don't need it.
yeah. And school's like a controlled environment. It's not a simulation of real life at all.
Mm-mm.
And it's like, and when you fail, like they kind of pick you back up. I mean,
Yeah,
undergrad is like that all the time. You know what I mean? Like they give you opportunities to rewrite papers or whatever it may be. Right? It's just it's not realistic for it being conducive to real life lessons. I think.
absolutely.
You know, so I am curious because like you mentioned you're now a real estate agent, you've kind of gone through multiple endeavors. When did you graduate from GCU and then up until now and your experience in real estate thus far and being an entrepreneur, what's been like your biggest failure and what's been like your most profitable success?
Yeah, so I graduated I think 2 years ago now from Grand Canyon University.
Uh-huh.
We were in Florida and my biggest failure, I'll start with that one. My biggest failure was you had referenced the guy pushing the boulder up.
Yeah.
I felt like that was never ending. So
Yep.
my
Yeah.
biggest failure is I got sick and tired of Florida. Or sick and tired of Oregon, so we moved to
Okay.
Florida. Moved in with some relatives and kind of got humbled real quick by that
Oh wow.
because we couldn't find an apartment to stay
Mhm.
and we were making decent money, but as soon as we switched to a different market, it was like struggle time because
Mhm.
I think I did 2 deals that year.
Mhm.
And so I remember that I would be going to the gym, like trying to go every single day, but all my habits were completely off
Mhm.
just because my discipline wasn't there.
Yeah.
But where that ties into is we were living with family
Uh-huh.
and their habits were taking complete control of my life. I'm
Interesting.
not kidding you. So it's like we were taking out their dogs. We were taking their, I would have to clean up their dogs. I'd have to clean up the house. I'd have to deal with all this other stuff.
Yeah.
And I was just like, dude, I don't have any time. There's no time for me.
Yeah.
Not only that, I was trying to make my sales phone calls,
Yeah.
dogs barking in the background. I love authenticity.
Yeah.
So, like, even on our sales trainings and stuff, I'll tell them, like, who cares if your baby's crying? Like,
Yeah.
that shows that you're a real human. Who
Yeah.
cares if your dog's bark? Who cares if a car goes by?
Yeah, it's real
That's
life.
fine.
Yeah.
And, but the thing is like nonstop I couldn't even hear the people.
Oh wow.
And so it messed with me more mentally than anything. I'm
Mhm.
not putting the blame on anybody. It was completely all up to me. It was
Mhm.
my decision, my choice. But at the same time, like I remember I just felt like I was going downhill.
Mhm.
And I didn't have the right people. I wasn't in the right environment.
Mhm.
And like not a supportive environment.
Mhm.
And I was like, man, I think, this is I'm not going on a good path.
Yeah.
And so that was the worst year. I wouldn't Here's the thing though, is my definition of failure, it's giving up.
Mhm.
So I can't say that I failed.
I
I
love
can
that.
say that I sucked that year and I
Yeah.
didn't do great.
Yeah.
But that was like one of my biggest things, but it helped me learn a lot
Yeah.
because I failed in that
Yeah.
aspect. So my mind wasn't right, my body wasn't right, and like you're talking about, like your spirituality wasn't right.
Yeah.
So once I started to get that in order, I started up 75 hard, went to the gym, went to the church, went to with the right people, went to meetups, found the right people, boom,
Isn't it wild
success.
how even though you were not necessarily maybe changing anything that you were doing business wise, how like and this is why I try and tell people I'm like, your health is a combination of so many things. Like your success in life as a human being is a combination of so many factors. And it's
Yeah.
like people don't even care to tap into some of those. So it's like, it's true how your environment impacts you. You are who you surround yourself with.
Hmm.
Your environment does make a difference. So it's wild that like you are a true testament of somebody that you literally changed all of your existential factors without even changing like the thing that was a struggle for you financially. And
Yeah.
then you just got better.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? That's wild.
I remember feeling like in my own jail in my own head.
Yeah.
It literally felt like that just because I like kind of was just self sabotaging.
Yeah.
And it's so crazy. People like listening to this podcast will not understand unless they go through that
Yep.
and they get out of that.
Yeah.
Once they do, it's kind of like, when you hear people they say, "Oh, why is this happening to me? Why is this happening to me?" Once they get out of that, they'll realize it was themselves.
Yeah.
But in that moment, it's like scarcity mindset and you will not never understand.
Yeah. And I think it's funny that like you mentioned that scarcity mindset because I was just talking to someone the other day about like having an abundancy mindset. Like it's a real thing.
It's
Like
hard.
it's so hard. And like
Yeah.
would you say that this time in your life that you kind of feel everything crumbling, like are you grateful for that? Do you feel like it was important for you to kind of realize how important it is for you to be good in all areas of your life?
Even still today, I have a little like mantra or like guide in my own mental like note taking
Yeah,
book,
yeah.
whatever. So every morning we have to go work out. We have to get sunshine. So it's also a combination of listening, Rob, and duplicating what other people do. Like
Yep.
Robert Huberman, or what is it?
Is he are you talking about
Huberman
Huberman
Labs.
Lobpack? I love him.
So he's awesome.
He's a neuroscience professor at Stanford, by the way.
Yeah, he's amazing. So it's like little stuff like getting sunlight.
Yes.
Like, do you think back in the day we worked inside all the time?
No.
No, we were getting sunlight. So
Yes.
I take our dog on a walk every single day. I go work out every single day just
Mhm.
because I feel like that's for me.
Yes.
I stay active. I work every single day, meaning taking action. Because
Yes.
if you do not take action and you're just sitting and thinking,
Mhm.
that is so detrimental because it starts to mess with your brain.
Yes.
And I read books every single day, whether it's the Bible,
Mhm.
which is the best business book in the world, or just any book that I'm interested in,
Yeah.
mostly nonfiction.
Yeah.
And then on top of that, you know, praying and spending quality time with family and friends.
Yeah.
If any of those are kind of out of balance for me, I have to like if I feel weird one day, I have to check what did I not do?
Yeah.
What did I not do on that day? And most odds are it's like I didn't spend time with family
Yep.
or I didn't work as hard that day.
Yeah.
And once I kind of get that like adjusted, I don't let it happen the next day.
Yeah, and that's like I mean that's really the true meaning of self-awareness. And it's so funny because I am the exact same way. And
Mm-hmm.
I think the reward, if that's like the right word, I think the reward of taking the time to do those things every day and taking the time to like recognize when those things go wrong makes it super easy to correct.
Mm-hmm.
Like when you're super self-aware, you're super disciplined, you know when things go off track, and then it's very easy to correct them. Where it's like you have people who they sit inside all day and they have so many areas of their life that are wrong and they just feel like they're in shambles, and it's so hard for them to correct their path. But that's because there's so many things out of whack, right? Like
Mm-hmm.
that's the benefit that comes from people like us and people who choose to be self-aware and take care of themselves in every area. And it's funny because I don't know how to explain it. I don't know if it's pheromones or what it is, but I just remember, and I have to share this story because it's kind of funny, like how we met. Do you remember like the first time that we met?
It was at the gala.
At the gala.
We
I
didn't meet before that, did we?
No.
No, we
So I met Cody at a school dance. He was there with his wife Alia. And
didn't.
I remember like meeting you, and we're at a bar. Everyone is just taking shots, everyone's drinking. And then within like 30 seconds, I knew that like Cody was just different. I knew that him and I were very similar minded people. Within like a minute, we're just off on the side having conversations about like self growth and development.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like,
Business talk.
yeah, we're talking about business, we're talking about real estate, what I'm
Uh,
going to do this summer as I'm like in the middle of school. But it's just so crazy to me that you will attract like-minded people,
yeah.
and I'm like, I want to surround myself with people who are going to help me be better. And it's true, like there's been so much research done that you are the average of the 5 people you spend the
Mm-hmm.
most time with.
Yeah.
And so I don't know, I just think that is super cool. And I love kind of hearing your story thus far.
Mm-hmm.
So tell me, what was your biggest success to this day now?
My biggest success was probably last year.
Okay.
So last year, that was where the rubber met the road, literally. So you know the definition of insanity. I'm reading the Daily Stoic, and they actually went over to the yesterday the definition of insanity.
Can I guess?
Go for it. Yeah, yeah, go for it.
I'm pretty sure I know what it is. It's doing the same thing over and over again, expecting a different result, right?
100%. So that's exactly what it
I'm
is.
kind of smart.
And so the 1 year that I didn't have success, which was 2 years ago. I mean, we still did 2 deals. That's fairly okay, but growing
Yeah.
into a bigger business.
Yeah.
No, that's you need to have more growth.
Yeah.
So I knew I couldn't do that. I needed to I hate saying this, but I had to 10x what I was doing
Yeah.
because I felt like I needed to.
Yeah.
Um so what did I do? I found a partner because I read this book called Rocket Fuel,
Mm-hmm.
and it's where you have an integrator and a visionary. Naturally, I'm not a very good visionary.
Okay.
I can imagine my goals like having and keep in mind, people will like cringe at this, or people will be like, well, why do you want that? Like, I want a nice house for my kids and my wife. I want
Yeah.
like a mansion. I want a Lamborghini because
Yeah.
I like nice cars.
Yeah.
I want a lot of different things in my life. And so I knew I needed to take certain steps to get there.
Yeah.
So that's like, but I'm not a visionary in business. I can't see myself owning a multi-billion-dollar company like
Yeah.
JP Morgan shit.
Yeah.
I can't see myself doing that.
Yeah.
But would I like to be like, maybe small town millionaire,
Yeah.
something big? Yeah, for
Yeah.
sure.
That's cool.
So I have partners and friends who are better visionaries than I am. I'm a better person at putting things together. How can I make this work?
Yeah.
Now, I wasn't too happy with that book because they're talking about like, you have to pick up all the pieces. You have to be the integrator. You have to
Yeah.
put this stuff together.
Yeah. Like you're capitalize on all of it. Yeah.
And I'm like, shoot.
Yeah.
Visionary has a way better job. They
Yeah.
just envision and drop gold nuggets, and the integrator has to pick them up.
Interesting. So you're good at putting things together.
Yes.
Okay. I'm curious because I do want to know. So I had Cody take a personality test.
Mm-hmm.
On the disc profile, what are you?
So heavy on
Because I'm curious to know this, and I'm gonna explain why I'm bringing this up right now.
yeah, heavy on the there's no real good way to say this. Oh, it's drive. I was heavy. It's heavy drive. So
you're a D?
yeah.
Interesting.
Takes charge, get things done, decisions, and takes action.
Yeah.
And then second highest is clarity. Works steadily with systems, focuses in order, accuracy, and precision. Third is influence, engages in others and shares enthusiasm, inspires and persuades others. And then S, support, is helpful and shows care for others, looks for ways to assist and serve. Now, I want to make something clear though too.
Mhm.
I think Alex Haramzi goes over this,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
and he said that, you know, you can change the person that you are. So when I read these questions, sometimes I envision a situation and I answer it best. But sometimes, depending on my mood or something, like I'll have like a heavy drive, but then I'm like, oh, maybe I do care for people. Maybe I
Yeah.
don't,
Yeah.
or something. So you kind of are what you make yourself out to be.
Yes, and that's totally true. Like, and that's why I kind of wanted to ask what your profile said, because you mentioned that you struggle more with the visionary side of things, big picture, but you're good at putting things together, which is very interesting because if you guys know the DISC profile, it's a very common test used in business.
Mm-hmm.
My dad, he's a dentist, multiple office business owner. He uses this for all of his
Yep.
employees. So he made me take it, of course, when I was younger. And I've taken it multiple years throughout my life, and it has changed over
Yeah.
time. But it was just interesting because usually D's are the people who tend to be like CEOs. They tend to be like owners of companies. They unfortunately do tend to also harbor like narcissistic personalities. Um, but they are more of the visionaries, right?
Mm-hmm.
For example, like my dad, right? He owns all these companies, but he would not be where he is without the lady that's under him. And
Right.
she basically, he has all the ideas, he's running a million miles an hour, and she picks up all the details and puts them together as
Yeah.
he's running behind him, because he's the visionary, but she's the very analytical, small, puts it all together,
Yeah.
which is much more C based. So
Yep.
that was interesting. But like you said, you can totally change depending on who you're around and where you need to step up. You can,
100%.
which
Yeah.
I think is also a big quality of people who are self aware.
Mm-hmm.
It's funny because when I took this test the last couple years, I get the same result, and it is an actual result on there, and it says that I'm a chameleon,
Yeah.
and it says you change who you are, not because you're like a fake person, but to kind of balance who you're around.
I think that's key for life, though.
Yes, but I'm a D as well,
Yeah.
but only 9% of the population's a D.
Really?
Uh-huh. Which is very interesting,
I thought when I'm reading this, I'm like, everybody should be a D.
right?
That's
Isn't
that's
that wild?
yeah, that's
Yeah,
crazy to
I thought
think
that was
that.
so interesting.
Huh.
Um, But again, kind of like I mentioned, people tend to, I think, see D's, unfortunately, as like dicks. They're like, oh, you're mean, you suck, blah, blah, blah. But I think it's hard because when you look at like business owners, they have to be decisive.
Yeah.
They sometimes have to make decisions that's not going to be the best benefit for
Yep.
everybody.
Yeah.
You do. And sometimes they can be impatient.
Yep.
They're risk takers because they're not afraid to fail. So
Yep.
sometimes they don't fully think through things. They jump in. They are very like logic based, so like sometimes they're not very good at being as emotionally intelligent.
Right.
um and so I kind of want to continue this, but before we do, I want you to kind of finish telling me about what you were saying with what your biggest success was.
Right. So going back to the biggest success, I changed like one thing. I partnered up with somebody
Okay.
to handle the type of workload starting a business.
Yeah.
So my partner Nate, he was in Tennessee. My
Uh-huh.
parents just moved out there, so we moved our market from Florida and Tennessee, doing both.
Oh wow.
He handled the dispositions. If you guys aren't familiar with dispositions, it's where in any business you handle the back end selling portion.
Mm-hmm.
So we have a property under contract. That's acquisitions. I got it, locked it
Uh-huh.
up. Sales. He sells it. That's dispositions.
I see.
So he was handling the selling of the property, trying to sell it for higher.
Mm-hmm.
I was handling the sales team, unlocking up the property. And because I don't know, I feel like I'm pretty decent at sales. Good. I could just hold a quality conversation,
Yes.
ask good questions.
Yeah.
And so we did that. And that was like our biggest year.
Mm-hmm.
Like it was doing 2 deals to doing over like 30, 40 real estate deals
Whoa,
within 6 months. Yeah. Within
that's
six,
a
7 months.
big jump.
Yeah. Yeah, and we were buying properties and land for like $100 in Tennessee. Like our
Oh
sales
my
team got
gosh.
so good that we would find data and people that haven't been even like touched or marketed to,
Mm-hmm.
and people who had back taxes
Uh-huh.
like 5,000. So I say $100. We locked up land some, but it was like $10,000 in back taxes. Lock it up, give it to somebody. We'd usually give them like X amount more money, $1,000 or something,
Mm-hmm.
but lock it up for 100, and then we'd go ahead and sell it for higher,
Yeah.
or we'd develop it.
Yeah.
And so that's what we would do. And
Wild.
it's funny because I spoke to a bunch of real estate agents, and
Uh-huh.
I even spoke to a real estate agent about, fix and flip, and they're like, wholesaling and fixing flipping is a scam. You're stealing people's equity. And I'm like, really? It's a scam. Okay. So let me ask you this. If you're the buyer and you're paying my commission
Mhm.
and somebody else is a seller and I'm not taking any of their commission, I'm just buying it for a certain price
Yeah.
for what the property is worth in its current condition, who's the scam artist? Because you're taking third or you're taking 6%
Yeah.
and they have to pay you. Sellers pay agents, buyers pay me.
Yeah.
And so it was funny because it was like eye opening because it's like I would never say something like that, but it's
Yeah.
like there was a couple agents that were
It's
like,
good to think about
"That's a
though.
scam," and I'm like,
You're like, I'm
uh,
actually living proof that it's not, but
I'm pretty sure you watched the show Fixer Upper too, and you loved it.
yep.
I was like, whatever.
That's so cool.
But yeah,
So when you say real estate deals, are you still doing wholesaling? What are you kind of dabbling in now? What is your kind of main forte that you're doing with real estate? Because you have your
yeah.
license now that you mentioned too.
So I got my license because if you do not adapt in the market that you are in, you will fail.
Yes.
So I got my license because houses out here are like California markets. They're high for no reason, and it's not even a great market
Yeah.
out in Utah.
Yeah. It's
It's really
weird.
not. So, and most people, it's a very tight knit community out
Mm-hmm.
here, as you know. So they like to go with real estate agents because that's what they know. They know real estate agents, but there's a small percentage that still sell to investors.
Yeah.
So I'm able to capitalize on wholesaling, fix and flip. And then if they don't, they want to sell their house for top dollar and
Mm-hmm.
pay me a commission. It works out.
I see. So you kind of just read, like you said, read the market, find what you can capitalize on, and then go from there and see what
Yep.
opportunities lead you from each one.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's smart.
Yeah.
Cool.
So I started just doing that, and then it's working out great. And
Yeah.
then it really helped starting a website
Uh huh.
to get those inbound leads coming to me.
Yeah.
Because you talk about freedom, like why would you do more work? This
Yeah.
website works for free for me.
Yeah.
I do all my own SEO, so it's free to me.
Work smarter, not harder.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that was my biggest success, and that was last year. And then my partner and I split.
Uh huh.
Nothing bad. We just moved to different markets.
Yeah.
Still love him to death. Still talk to him every single day.
Yeah.
And he's doing development now, and
Mm-hmm.
then I'm kind of upgrading and doing more buy and hold.
Yeah.
That's my goal. Because we sold a ton of houses last year, and Uncle
Yeah.
Sam wanted a piece of the pie, and I was like,
Yep.
I have nothing to write off.
You're like, shoot, what can I do?
Yeah, so that was
That
my
is
biggest
so
success.
cool.
Yeah,
And are you, so looking back, like, are you happy that you made this decision to not go to med school? Like, are you happy that you're here now?
100%. Yeah, you think about your personal beliefs and like what you align with,
Yeah.
and I think so many people they'll wake up every single day and live in a reactive state and
Yes.
just not proactive. And I
Yes.
feel like I have complete control of my life. And you're
Mm-hmm.
talking about being like a D personality, a
Mm-hmm.
drive personality. Like I have zero empathy for, people who don't just take action.
Yep.
It's like 90% of your problems will be gone. It's almost
Yes.
like that David Goggins mentality. It's just like,
Yeah.
just do it. Just stop
Yeah.
thinking about it.
Yeah. Well, I'm reading that book. I'm sure everybody knows it, Atomic Habits, right?
Oh, I've read that one. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's good.
And they're like one of the best lines in that book is he's like, we get so caught up in the planning of things, which is great to an
Yeah.
extent because it's like, oh, I have so many like leads here, I have so many like great conversations going with these business owners, but he's like, it's so easy to let planning
Yep.
become procrastination, and when you do that, that's when you realize you need to take action.
Yeah.
And like that's such a good point because I've even done that where I'm like, oh, things are rolling but nothing's actually happened yet. You know what I
100%.
mean? And so I totally agree that it's super easy to get caught up in that mindset.
Yeah.
So, with that being said, kind of discussing your failure and discussing your successes, what advice would you give to the younger generation of people who potentially want to do entrepreneurship? They don't necessarily know exactly what they want to do with their life. What kind of advice would you give to either kids that are kind of
Yeah.
lost for knowing what they want to do and also kids that know that they want to be entrepreneurs?
Yeah. So there is kind of like it's a loaded question in the sense
Yeah.
that I have multiple answers for it,
Uh-huh.
and there's not a one size fits all. So I'll give you the short and sweet answer. If you guys really want, to know what you want to
Yeah.
do this. Step one, research, go on YouTube, spend one day, just one day, And I'll explain why a little bit later. Why you should only spend one day and that's it.
Mhm.
Research what you want to do if you want to be a business owner,
Mhm.
or if you want to own a business,
Mhm.
or if you just want to go something that needs like do you need schooling for it?
Mhm.
So if you need schooling for it, then you're going to need to go to school. So
Yeah.
let's talk about that later. But let's talk about entrepreneurship and business owners.
Yeah.
If you feel that personal drive that you will not feel happy if you do not take action and create your own path or cut
Yeah.
your own path, you're probably on the right track. So listen to yourself.
Yes.
So spend one day going on YouTube and researching what are millionaires doing, or Google what are
Mm.
the highest paying, industries.
Yeah, yeah.
Now keep in mind, if you like architecture,
Uh-huh.
if you like real estate,
Yeah.
if you have something, then go to that.
Yeah.
But there's a whole umbrella under real estate.
Yeah.
So there's mortgages, there's taxes. You
Mhm.
can have a specialty. You could be an agent, fix and flipper, all that stuff.
Yeah.
So hone in on what you think you would like. There's
Yeah.
no right answer. I
Yeah,
can
that's a good
almost
point.
guarantee I did not know I was going to be in this. I
Yeah.
did not know I'd be in real estate.
Uh-huh.
But research one topic that you actually like.
Uh-huh.
And then second step is find a coach. Go
Mhm.
on Facebook, go on LinkedIn, talk to your neighbors, talk to your family of do you know anybody in real estate?
Mhm.
Like if we're just using the topic of real estate. So I do your research one. Two, find a coach or find a mentor.
Ooh.
And here's the thing. Here's the golden rule. When you find your mentor, do not go to your Aunt Sally.
Yeah.
Do not go to your cousin.
Yeah.
Because why? I guarantee you they're probably not a top producer.
Nope.
And I know it sounds mean, but this is the drive coming out of me, the D
Yeah.
personality. I'm trying to give you guys the best advice. And the best advice is not going to a family member who's doing one deal a year.
Yeah.
So you need to go to somebody who's top producer.
Yeah.
And, I I would love to coach somebody who is like younger and looking to grow.
Yeah.
They're not all out for themselves. They want to help because if you can help them grow, they can help you grow.
Yeah.
So find somebody that's the top producer in your industry. That's
Yeah.
number two. And number three, take action and take action fast. What does
Yep.
that mean? That means don't sit around trying to create a logo, work backwards in your business.
Mhm.
So get the deals, get the leads first, close the deals, then find a logo, then create your like LLC.
Yeah.
Like most people will say, "Oh my gosh, create your LLC first." Why do you have to worry about that if you're not doing business?
That's a great point, actually. That's such a good point because that's like the opposite of what most people would think
Yeah.
because they want to start safe, right?
Yeah.
They're like, oh, well, it doesn't put me out anything going onto this website and making a logo. I'm not out anything,
No.
but it takes more effort. It takes more energy. It takes more potential money to actually go out and take action and do those things, right? Yeah.
You're going to waste so much time doing stuff you don't need.
Yeah.
You do not need. That's why if you work under a coach or a mentor,
Hmm.
they already have all that stuff for you.
Yeah.
And here's the fourth. Don't give up on it. I've had 5 to 6 people who went up to me. They wanted to hand out flyers for my business, cold
Hmm.
calling, all this stuff. And they gave up like a week later. Man, I'm not seeing success. And I'm like, dude, I've been in this for 3 years. You think I saw success after the first week?
Yeah.
No,
Yeah.
not at all. They want to get paid, they want to get a commission. But that's like the 4-step process that
Hmm.
I can think. And if you follow that like to a T,
Yeah.
there's going to be people who critique that. That's fine, and find your own way.
Yeah.
I'm just telling you what worked for me
Yeah.
and
Absolutely.
what I would do over again.
Yeah.
So, I don't know, that's what works for me for that.
Yeah.
But
I
I
love
don't know.
that. That's so cool. And kind of the last thing I wanted to touch on, especially because my podcast in general is geared more towards women, but I really wanted to have you on just because I think you and Allie are such a great couple. And I think that a lot of my entrepreneurship drive resonates a lot with what you're doing. And I see that in you as well. But I think it's important too, like to kind of talk about briefly before we end this of you, like we mentioned, you have that D personality. What was your, of the 5 personality traits, what was your of the big 5, what did it tell you? And the reason I ask this is because I think being an entrepreneur is so fantastic. And from people or men that I've talked to that are entrepreneurs, or they tend to have that deep personality, they tend to be, like I said, the owners, the CEOs, they struggle in relationships because they're so logical and business minded. Like I mentioned, their EQ can sometimes be lower, or you find people who have narcissistic personality traits. how do you feel like you've been able to kind of balance the characteristics that you have as a business owner and entrepreneur, and how does that translate into your relationships? Do you apply those same mindsets to your relationship? Do you have to separate them?
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, and then tell me what your big five said.
Yeah. Well, first off, I'm not perfect. Like
Hmm.
everybody has their arguments, everybody has their ups and downs.
Yeah,
And I think there's no relationship that if you don't have to fight for it, it's not worth it. So
yeah,
like um everybody goes through ups and downs, so that's a given. But one thing that I've learned is you need if we're talking about like the pillars of your life,
yeah.
if you have equal time with God,
Uh huh.
you're reading, you're learning, your workouts, your family time,
Hmm.
you need to have equal time with your wife,
Yeah,
or at least communicate.
yeah.
And I genuinely think having a wife or having somebody makes you a better person.
Hmm.
Me at least, because I'm a very loyal person.
Yeah,
And so um this I know plenty of people who do this, but like for example, I have to be a little bit vulgar. Like I don't watch any porn or anything. I
yeah,
don't watch any of that stuff because I respect my wife so much.
yeah.
And I feel like people don't respect their wives if they're doing that type of stuff.
Hmm.
Not everybody, it doesn't mean the same thing, but
Yeah, yeah,
I in my personal opinion,
yeah.
I
For you,
think it
yeah,
does.
absolutely.
And so stuff like that, like respecting your wife. I'm in business, I tend to be very logical. So like she'll tell me something emotional
Yeah,
and I'm just like a logical reason for that. Like,
yeah,
oh, it's probably because this. And it's
yeah.
like, no, she just wants you to hear
She just wants you to listen. Have you seen that
her.
YouTube video? It's not about the nail.
I think I know what you're talking about. I think I just saw it the other day.
Yeah, that girl's like sitting on the couch with her husband. She has a nail in her forehead. If you guys haven't seen it, it's literally 2 minutes
Oh,
long.
I
It's on
haven't.
YouTube. You have to go watch it. It's called It's Not About the Nail. But it explains how men and women think. Like she's just sitting on the couch with her husband. She has this nail in her forehead, right? And she's like, you can tell she's just like not happy. And she's
Yeah.
like, I have this pain and all of my sweaters are snagged and I just feel like it's never gonna stop. And he's like, well, you have a nail in your forehead. And she's like, it's not about the nail. And she's so adamant about
Yeah.
it not being about the nail. And he's like, well, I really think that if you got that nail out of your forehead, you would feel a lot better.
Mm-hmm.
And she's like, you always try and fix things when all I really need is for you to just listen.
Yeah.
And I'm like, that is such a good point.
Yep.
Such a good point. Like, oftentimes we know the
Yeah.
solution is women, like, we're not stupid, but we want you to listen to us.
Right. And I will be the first person to admit, I am very bad at caring for people's emotions.
Mm-hmm.
Not, it's not that like I genuinely feel bad if I do something.
Yeah.
I genuinely care for people,
Yeah.
but sometimes I'm just like, the solution's right in front of your face, dude.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
or it's like, yeah, it's a tough time, but get over it. Come on,
Yeah.
we're gonna get through this.
Yeah. It's a hard
It's
balance.
more or less like, hey, don't brush it under the rug. Let's talk about it. Let's get it done.
Yeah.
Come up with a logical solution. Let's go
Yeah.
take action now.
Yeah.
And so most people they'll want to sit and sulk in their feelings. I just don't like to do that.
Yeah.
It's just not me.
Yeah.
But as far as like a relationship goes, like Ali and I believe we have a very healthy relationship
Hmm.
because if you're not doing this, eat dinner with your wife, eat dinner
Yeah.
with your family, and respect your wife, respect your family. Nothing's ever going to be 50-50. Like while I was in med school, I'm cleaning the house and she'll help
Yeah.
100%.
Yeah.
But I'm taking the dog out, I'm doing the dishes, I'm cleaning up.
Yeah.
And then there starting time summertime when she has break off, like she's doing all this stuff.
Yeah.
So it's like, who cares if it's not fair?
Yeah.
Like I'm not a huge proponent of like splitting bills.
Uh huh.
Like I want to be one that provides and
Hmm.
helps, and like because I know if I was ever like on my deathbed, like Ali would be there and
Yeah.
helping me and
Yeah.
providing. Like she would
Absolutely.
have to.
Yeah.
So I don't know. It's just like it's a loyalty thing, it's a respect thing, but it's
Yeah.
also not life's not fair, so get over it
Yeah.
and just do the things that suck,
100%.
and it'll make your life a million times better. Not only that, keeping your word, like not
Hmm.
lying, keeping
Yeah.
your word for certain things. But that's how I kind of handle it. But I'm also very I tend to read into things more.
Uh huh.
Like, how is she thinking about it? Like, how are you
Yeah.
thinking about this? How are you
Yeah.
thinking about that? So I'm always trying to like just think about what the other person's thinking.
Yeah.
And so sometimes it's assuming, but
Yeah.
whatever. But the big five, extroversion. Well, you want me to just give you that?
Yeah. Let me see. Okay. So we have,
I've never done this one before.
yeah. So this is like very, very, I would say global. Like a lot of
Mm.
psychologists use this. So they're just like the 5 personality traits and everybody has all of them. It's just what are you higher in? So like you're highest in neuroticism. Um
What even is that? Not to
so
sound dumb, but
neuroticism is like your tendency to experience um you're just neurotic means like you feel everything very intensely. So you feel really, really high highs, but you can also feel very low lows. You're
yeah.
very susceptible to stress. You're just very like aware of all the stimulus that's like affecting you all the time. And I would say, or I would argue that neurotic people tend to be like very highly productive people.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, you're very you. I would say that very highly productive people too. Like we mentioned, like nobody wants to see the struggle, but you take a lot of crap.
Yeah.
You do. You have to handle a lot of crap and sometimes it sucks, but the rewards are great. So your highest in neuroticism, your second highest, which is very interesting, is agreeableness and openness to experience.
Mm.
And then conscientiousness is your lowest. Which I would say is a little surprising, especially because you mentioned like you're aware of like how Alia
Mm-hmm.
feels and things like that. But it's just interesting. Typically, this is very um common that you'll see neuroticism with like a high D.
Yeah.
So that they kind of go hand in hand.
Yeah.
So I just thought that was interesting. And I always kind of like to ask, but my last question for you is if you had to guess what Alia would say about the 3 things that she likes the most about you, what do you think she would say?
I would say that she likes that I am very what is it called? She always tells me this, persistent.
Uh-huh.
So one, persistent. She says that, I guess I don't want to use hardworking because she doesn't. She'll say that, but that's the same as like persistent, I
Yeah.
think. But for sure, very loyal
Uh-huh.
and a provider. I would
Okay.
say that because like I'm always talking about how to like, different scenarios, like how I could protect her or
Yeah.
provide for her or provide for family or friends.
Yeah.
So I would say that those are the top three,
Uh-huh.
but I know for a fact she would say persistent because she always tells me that.
So I think that the only thing that we have left to do now is actually test that theory.
Yeah.
Um, so I think we should call her. And
Yeah.
I think we're going to ask her what she would say are the top 3 things.
This is good.
Yeah, so I think we should give her a quick call.
I'll be excited to see.
Hello.
Hi, Alia. This is Cody's wife. So Alia is here on the phone with us. How are you doing?
I'm just hanging out in Moab with Maggie.
Awesome. Well, I was asking Cody a question and I had to verify with you. So I asked him, I said, Cody, if you had to tell me what are the top 3 qualities that Alia would say she loves most about you, and he told me them, and I want to know what you would say. So he said, I know for a fact one of them for sure. So I'm here to ask you, what are your top 3 favorite things about Cody?
Oh man. Well, okay, number 1 is definitely loyalty.
Oh, okay, that's one of them. You got one right.
Probably another big one is just the protection factor. Like he's a good protector.
Okay, that's number 2. You've gotten 2 so far. Wow.
And he's incredibly like motivated and driven. So I think that would probably be my third.
Alia, you literally just got all
quality.
3 that he said. Guys, this is the hallmark of a good relationship right here. They just like read each other's minds. Oh my gosh. Alia, you're amazing. Your husband's amazing. Thank you so much for answering that question for me.
Oh my gosh, you're welcome. That was so fun. I can't believe I got them all right.
Yeah, you did. That was so awesome. Well, enjoy river rafting. Have so much fun in Moab, and we'll talk to you later.
Love you, B.
Okay, have a great rest of your time. Bye.
Bye. Okay, that was so awesome. I
was
did
kinda
not think she was
nervous.
going to get them all.
Yeah, I was
You were
kind of
like,
nervous.
oh no. Oh my gosh. Well, that was so fun. Thank you so much, Cody, for being on the podcast today. I still feel like there's so many things I'd love to talk to you more about in the future. I'd love to have you back, but hopefully our younger viewers and even our young adults got some good motivation and information from you about entrepreneurship and relationships and never giving up. So any last words you want to say?
No, I appreciate you. Thanks for having me on. And yeah, that'll be fun for the future.
Yeah, I look forward to it. Thanks, Cody. We'll see you guys soon.